Bill Belichick, in his first year of eligibility, did not get voted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Now, let's start with this. He will. He's a Hall of Famer. He'll get in. And we don't know that he didn't get 39 of the 50 votes. I'm sure he got a majority. So let's just start talking about, is it possible that what I'm about to explain to you went into consideration? Let me start with this. The winningest coach of all time, Don Shula, got to a Super Bowl with Dan Marino, David Woodley, and Earl Morrall. He had to wait 5 years until he was even eligible for the Hall of Fame. But because of a tweak this year in the voting, and I don't like this at all, coaches now can get in 1 year removed from being out of the league. So the greatest players can't, but coaches can? Is it possible that a handful of voters, 11, 12 voters, went timeout? The classiest guy ever, the winningest guy ever, the guy Belichick's been chasing forever, Don Shula, had to wait 5 years to even be eligible. And now because of a weird tweak, I got to put Belichick, who was a jerk forever. And that does matter. I'll get to that later. Some of these voters are writers. I'm going to put him in day one? Nah, I'll put him in next year. That gets me to the second part of this. If you take out one superstar quarterback in Belichick's career, he has a winning percentage below Jerry Glanville and equal to Anthony Lynn. With Brady, his team scored almost 29 points a game, and he won 77% of his games. Without Brady, they scored 19 points, and he wins 44%. And not only that, he was fired in Cleveland without him, was about to get fired in New England before Drew Bledsoe got hurt. And then the minute Brady left, he put a defensive coordinator in at OC. In the 1 year, and think about this, Mike Vrabel is getting to a Super Bowl with Drake May, who's not even a finished product, the current New England coach. Mike Vrabel got a number 1 seed with Ryan Tannehill, the 17th best quarterback in the league. Okay. Brady leaves, and they can't score. They don't get offense. They're the worst drafting team in the league. I mean, Bill Parcells is his mentor. He won Super Bowls with Jeff Hostetler and Phil Simms. Was Belichick's mentor. He had to wait forever. Bill Parcells. Ask yourself, if there was a great movie director who made 20 movies, in 12 of them he had a superstar actor, and they won Oscars, and they were amazing. In the 8 other movies, he didn't have that one superstar actor, and they were unwatchable. Drek, Porky's 2. Would it give you pause for 5 minutes to go, was it the director or the actor? Even with a stacked roster, the 1 year Brady got hurt, they couldn't make the playoffs. And again, Vrabel got a number 1 seed with Ryan Tannehill. Okay, and here's the third part. I'm just asking you to consider it because Belichick is a Hall of Famer and will get in. The third part, what is the most valuable week of the year in pro football? What is the one week of the year that the league values the most? Super Bowl week. And in 2007, it was tarnished because Belichick footage of him taping another team. And Roger Goodell had to go to the Super Bowl and all week long address Belichick's cheating. Folks, you successful men out there, there is a tax in life. You can be a great husband for 45 years, but if your wife finds that one of those years you were cheating, you will sleep on the couch at minimum. There is a tax to pay if the most valuable week of the year, you blew it up once because you were taping another team. So in review, Don Shula had to wait 5 years. Parcells, your mentor, waited forever. Your winning percentage is 44% without Brady. And you blew up a Super Bowl week. If you have several asterisks by your name, is it okay to pause for a year? My staff also did an interesting thing this morning. We went and looked at some of the other great coaches to see how quickly they got in. Vince Lombardi, you know, the guy they named the trophy after, did not get in first year eligible. Bill Walsh, the most innovative coach in the history of the league, half the league uses his offense, did not get in first year eligible. Joe Gibbs, in unquestionably 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, the most underrated coach in the history of the league, Joe Gibbs, first year eligibility, doesn't get in. Jimmy Johnson waited forever. Parcells waited. Andy Reid will have to wait. But because they tweaked, and I don't agree with this, they tweaked the voting so that coaches can now get right in. Somebody said, Walsh didn't get in. Lombardi didn't get in. Gibbs didn't get in. Make him wait a year. They may not be punishing Belichick. They're punishing the voting methodology. So, again, let's not argue that Bill is a Hall of Fame coach. Yes, absolutely, I would have voted him in. But when you change the voting methodology, I mean, this is what Biden and Trump argue. Lines, where do you vote? Who's voting for who? I mean, we can't even get our presidential election voting right. You cheated. You rigged it. I mean, Hall of Fame voting's always been wonky. I mean, baseball's got a morality clause. Football doesn't. But when you change it, sometimes stuff like this happens. He's getting in, but if you take a deep breath, I think you have to, when Brady left, went to Tampa, won a Super Bowl, and Bill's teams were awful. DC to OC. Doesn't that make you pause a little bit? I mean, what makes Christopher Nolan and Spielberg and the great director so amazing? They use all sorts of actors and writers, and they can do it. That's what makes Joe Gibbs and Parcells and the great coach Bill Walsh, and when Andy Reid gets to Super Bowls with guys not named Mahomes, Andy Reid wins with everybody. You take out Brady, you can't pause for a year and go, Again, you guys are all freaking out. He's getting in. He deserves to be in. But you start looking at the methodology. I do not like the idea that players have to wait for half a decade to be eligible and coaches can get in immediately. That makes it's a players' league, not a coaches' league. I mean, I love Andy Reid. He won hoisting trophies till Mahomes. How about this? Bill can get in once Tom's in. Since there's an argument to be made, he was going to get fired, Belichick, in New England, would have failed at both jobs, had a surly reputation, and may have never had any of this debate because he didn't get another head job. Brady's eligible in what, 2028? Bill's eligible now? You like that? I don't like that. J-Mac, before I go to my next story, I think it's interesting because when you start looking at who gets in and the eligibility, baseball's Hall of Fame is weird because they put in morality clauses. And, you know, like, are you a good person? Did you cheat? And there's been great consternation and debate on that. The NFL doesn't do that, but there are people voting on this who covered Bill. I mean, he wouldn't talk to, I know 2 Hall of Fame voters he refused to talk to for 15 years. He held grudges. He could be petty. He could be difficult. And every business, including football coaching, is a people business. There was a reason when Jimmy Johnson got in on the set, all the other men there cried. Because Jimmy'd been good to a lot of people. Belichick doesn't even have a coaching tree. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's like Sean McVay relative to Belichick's been in the league 45 minutes. He's got a coaching forest. So, like, there is something to be said in your life. It's not a morality thing, but if you dump on people, if you're difficult, Bobby Knight's life ended sadly while he was still coaching. I'm not talking his health deterioration. I'm talking his last 8-9 years of coaching. He bullied people. He alienated people. Even Coach K, stop connecting with him. Coach K's like, I'm not going to deal with you. I'm not going to talk with you. If you treat people like that, nobody's saying you won't get in. Howard Stern took forever to get into the Hall of Fame in radio. Why? He made fun of the Hall of Fame in radio. Everybody knew he and Rush Limbaugh dominated American radio. But if you poke people in the ribs, you're difficult, you mock, you rip, well, don't be surprised if there's a 12-month tax on your actions and personality. Just a little bit of a tax. Just sleep on the couch for a night or two. That's all I'm saying.
But can you still take the whole Hall of Fame vote seriously, Colin? If when you see all the 15, 20, 30 names up eligible for the Hall of Fame and you go through them, you see Bill Belichick's name, that's an automatic, he's in. He's one of my top
let's
five.
Look at the precedent.
Right?
Let's look at the precedent. Why wasn't that the case with Parcells or Jimmy Johnson or Vince Lombardi or Bill Walsh or Joe Gibbs? The damn trophy guy didn't get in.
Well, Belichick has more trophies, I think, than all those guys maybe combined.
Again, more trophies, still, it's a different world. But if you literally have a trophy named after you, you think you would have got in rather quickly.
Yeah, football was in its infancy back then, though. Right. It was really early. I'm just curious, are you surprised by the whole Kraft situation? He's been waiting, I think, 14 years to get into the Hall of Fame, and now he would have gone in with Belichick if they both got in this time. And by all accounts, it sounds like Kraft's getting in and Belichick is not. Interesting subplot given their ugly ending in New England. Remember that?
Beyond ugly ending.
I mean, they initially said it was there's a mutually parting of ways. 10 months later, Kraft on record, I fired him. I took a risk on that guy. It's been ugly between those two. I think the subplots here are fascinating, Colin.
Yeah, and again, Bill's getting in. He may have gotten 39 of the 50 votes. But remember, in the football voting, 5 people are eligible. You only get a vote for 3. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. So all these Hall of Fame votes voting in America for presidents is convoluted, difficult, redistricting. This is what we argue about every 4 years. Side cheated, this redistrict. Voting for this stuff, all voting is weird. It should be more transparent. I think when you vote for a Hall of Fame, you should be able to go in and say somebody gets in or they don't. It shouldn't be limited to I can vote for 2 of 5 or 3 of 5. Bill Belichick, do you think he's in or not? Yes.
Yes.
You shouldn't be. Yeah. You shouldn't qualify it based on I've got to let this guy in and that guy not it. So the whole thing. I don't mind a handful of sports writers who covered the league forever being part of it. I would put executives, coaches, few of those. If you're an observer to something, you can have a right to vote in any Hall of Fame. It could be radio. I was just in a Radio Hall of Fame dinner. There were executives, there were hosts, there were local, there were syndicated, there were salespeople there. All sorts of people matter in any business.
But you're right, the voting. I love Roger Craig. Roger Craig on the Niners, the high-stepping, tough running back. He's awesome. How can you vote Roger Craig into the Hall of Fame over Bill Belichick? On no level does that make an ounce of sense. That's just one guy.
I'm just saying, but Bill is going to get in.
He is, yeah.
He's just sleeping on the couch for a year. How about that?